before you can reach
vertebrae
it.
by vertebrae. Stretch.
You must
Take your arms and wrap yourself up and squeeze real tight and tell yourself, I love you. I love me. Right? That lets our body know that we care. We care. Because our vibe attracts our tribe. And we can't expect for anyone else in this world to love us until we learn how to love and forgive ourselves. So let's have a beautiful grand rising. Get up off your feet. If you're driving in your car, roll all your windows down and pump the AC at the same time. And get up and dance. Raise your vibrations to the ceiling. It's a brand new week and we're leaving everything. All our trials and tribulations and our haters, we're leaving all them mofos behind. It's Goddess of the Nile Radio. Let's turn up, baby. Let's turn up.
If the door doesn't open, don't wait. Use force to knock it down. Hey, hey, hey. Ain't no time for moping. No, the moment is right now. Yeah. Real talk, you can touch the sky. Ain't nobody know. No. Real talk, you can sit behind. Ain't nobody know. Real talk, we do it for the youth. Another generation. Another generation. You are strong enough to meet your destiny. Nothing is impossible. You can do anything. No one can hold us down. No one can stop us. Yeah, we are unstoppable. Yeah, cause nothing is impossible. No, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
You are now listening to Goddess of the Nile Radio.
Grand Rising world! Everything's a grand rising. This day has been so amazing, so glorious. I have so much gratitude in this moment, in this very moment, as my blood and as my DNA is flowing through my body, as my vibrations of my voice is healing you and going through this microphone into your ears, and I hope it's touching and healing your souls. I hope it's waking up your mind. I hope it's pulling out the junk of your third eye. I hope that you guys are here with me in love and in peace and in light. And if you're not, that's okay too, because by the time you finish being with me, you're gonna leave in love, peace, and light. I am your hostess for today, Azur Netarugaya. Thank you so very much for tuning in to Goddess of the Nile Radio, live right here on the free WinDC Radio app and YouTube channel. I am here each and every Sunday from 11 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this morning, we celebrated the life and the legacy of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. We started it off with Riri. We had a little bit of some grand rising music from Conquer Raw Music. Shout out to our independent artists, because WinDC Radio is the platform of the independent artists. Get into it. Get into it. Get into it. Yes, 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 yes. I have had an amazing week, a beautiful week. I have had a spiritual cleansing this week. I went and bought some crystals. Oh my God. It's just been about being a grown-up over the past week or so. Just being a grown-up and getting some things and some energies off of my back, you know. But last night I had the most amazing time. I sat at the dining room table and pulled out a deck of Uno cards, and I had an ice cream social with my family, and it was absolutely amazing. My 11-year-old son won, so shout out to Princeton. He is so far the Uno ice cream social champion. Mommy, didn't do too well. She came in last place, but it's all good. It was a very tight race. But it's that moment. It's those moments where you put down the cell phones and you turn off the television and you just connect energetically with your family members. You connect energetically with your loved ones. It can make all the difference in the world. Those are the things that they remember. They are not so much going to remember the $800 pair of tennis shoes that you're buying them every week. They're not going to so much remember all of the extravagant trips that you guys take. But what they're going to remember is that one-on-one time with them, that one-on-one time that you're spending with them, that's, it's absolutely free. It's free to give. Your love is free. You can offer them your positive energy, your positive affirmations, your positive imagery, your positive guidance. That's absolutely free. It's so important that we take the time to watch our tone of voice when we're talking to our children. It's so important that we take the time to watch the words that we use when we're talking to our children, and we're feeding them with love. We're filling them up with light and positivity, so that way they can have the courage to go out there in this world and just completely take it over and change it for the better. We need them. We need them. We may not understand them. We may not get the, what's up, bruh? Why you calling me bruh and I'm your mother? You know what I mean? It's the little things, right? But sometimes, we can't be so snooty booty that we can't, speak to them on their level or hug them up sometimes and just be one with them sometimes. Every time we speak to them, it should be with love. It should be with a strong energy force of love. Because this world is not easy. But it can be a lot easier on them if each and every one of us take the time as parents to do what we need to do and what we're supposed to do with our kids, which is loving them, showing them how to love, and protecting them, and explaining things to them, and not hiding things from them. And with that, I'm just going to segue right into what happened on Saturday morning. Princeton was watching the Transformers, and there was this beautiful baby who was of a darker complexion, skin. She probably was from New Orleans, like she might have been mulatto or Creole or something. And one of the robots had called her a wench. And I was totally offended. But instead of me just going off of just being offended, I had to explain to my son why that wasn't right. I had to explain to him the history of what the word wench means. And if you're old school, you know exactly what wench means, but it's no longer in the dictionary. So we had to dig a little deep to get back to the original meaning of the word wench, which means prostitute. It means someone of a poor stature. Someone that's possibly a maid is a wench. Why would you call a baby a maid? Why would you call a baby a prostitute on a children's cartoon show? So this is why it's important that we pay attention to what our children are watching and, watch it along with them and explain to them what they're seeing, because this is becoming real. They're beginning to put transgender characters in our children's school books, transgender characters in their readings, which is absolutely fine. But us as parents, we have to explain to them why Joe is now Joanna and how he's going to come across what was once Joe and who's now Joanna, in his future, his or her future. We got to prepare them for that so they can know to, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the appearances, to live a life with love. Because at the end of the day, it's all about love. It's all about love, guys. It's not about who was here first. It's not about who got the most melanin in their skin. It's not about what family you come from. It's all about humanity, and it's all about love. It's all about love for your fellow man, and it's all about forgiveness. Yeah, it's about forgiveness too, and that's a tough one for us, because the new age melanin people, we feel like, well, if they wasn't you know, allowing for people to slap them around, and why we got to be so darn unforgiving. If we weren't so darn unforgiving, we would be in a better place, right? We get all worked up. But you know, you do have to forgive. You do have to forgive the people who have done you wrong. You do have to forgive the people that have trespassed against you. You do have to forgive them, because the only way that you're going to be able to be set free, the only way that you're going to be able to receive the blessings and those goals and those visions, the only way that you're going to be able to manifest the life of your understanding, of your understanding, is if you forgive the ones who have done you wrong. Take those knives out your back and hand it back to them and say, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive you. I ain't talking about you gotta forget, but you have to forgive them no matter what it is. And that's the way that you are able to be set free and go to a higher level of understanding and go to a higher level of ascension, and your I was about to say your goals and your bonuses, but no, your dreams, your blessings will be so much bigger. If you think you're blessed now with a brand new car and a nice house, just imagine if you had forgiveness in your heart for people who treated you like a piece of crap on the bottom of their shoes. Just imagine how blessed you would be by the universe if you forgave those people. It'll be everything that you want. Everything that you want. All because you have forgiveness in your heart. You know? And that leads to today's topic. Hexes and curses. And I'm going to talk to you today about hexes and curses, generational hexes and curses, and how to discover if you are hexed or cursed, and also like how to put the pieces together, because everything happens in synchronicity. Everything happens for a purpose. You know, how you got to go back and think about the conversations that you've had with your family members. How you got to go back through your life and pinpoint certain things and come to the realization of certain things. And figure out if you are under some type of generational curse or some type of generational hex. And once you have that bit of information, how to lift it up off of you. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to share with you my own personal story because, yeah, your spiritual teacher, Zoranetsu Gaia, happened to me. And it can happen to you too. Or it's probably happening to you. So I'm going to share with you my story. And along the way, I hope you find freedom from anything that has been plaguing you and plaguing your family for generations and generations and generations. Welcome to Goddess of the Nile Radio. We will be right back after this music break. Settle in, grab a snack, call your friends, and like and share this video. I love you guys. I'll be right back. Peace.
Watch where your mind wanders to. Look out for the monsters, they'll try to break you. Right when it seems everything is okay. Watch who you keep close to you. Stop fighting battles that you're bound to lose. Good memories are yours to keep. You don't have to let them go. Liars and cowards deceive, telling you words that you wanna believe. All that you see, all the people you meet, don't forget to hear your start counting on your blessings. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Start you see ain't just quite what it seems. Don't forget to hear your voice. So whenever you're unsure of a choice, keep your head up, follow your voice. Da 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 da. Swallow your voice. Hey. So whenever you're unsure of a choice, keep your head up and just follow your voice. Whenever you're unsure of a choice, keep your head up and just follow your start counting on your blessings. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Start learning lessons that you never thought you'd ever learn. Start counting on your blessings. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Start learning lessons that you never thought you'd ever learn. Learning lessons that you never thought you'd ever learn. Learning lessons that you never thought you'd never. You might want to stop. No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. Before you bring it up, call me distant from your love, or difficult to care. Let me stop you there. Don't know if we'll be here. Time is borrowed, but not from our hands. I no longer fear tomorrow. It's not in my plans. It's a wild world. I wish I could promise you forever, but if a while works, then that's all we'll need. It's a wild world. I wish I could promise you forever, but if a while works, then that's all we'll need. Wild world, wild world, wild world. I can't even lie. You've been on my mind lately. I've been on a ride, losing track of time. But I don't wanna lose you. I don't wanna lose you. No. Tell me what I can do. Trying to find my way through. It's a wild world. I wish I could promise you forever, but if a while, then that's all we need. It's a wild world. I wish I could promise you forever, but if a while, then that's all we need. Close enough to touch, but never close enough. Just hope I'm not too much. Nobody compares. Don't gotta call you mine or spend all of your time with me. Just pray you realize everything in what it seems, but don't wanna confuse you. I don't wanna lose you. So tell me what I can do. Trying to find my way through this wild world.
Hey guys, welcome back to Wendy C Radio. I'm sorry, Tislov and I were talking during the break, and I was like, what? He was like, no, you got a couple of seconds. I was like, what? Welcome back to Wendy C Radio. I am your hostess, Azor Netarugaya, and you are watching the Goddess of the Nile radio show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time this morning, and it's time to get into hexes and curses. Dun, dun, dun. Well, I have to tell you about my story, and hopefully my story will help you guys figure out some things, right? So the best part for me to do is like tell you, it from the top, and then take you guys back along this trail that I what is going on? That noise. Anywho, this trail that I've been on and finding the truth and finding what was actually going on with me and with my family. I think it was last week sometime. Tislam, can you do me a favor? Can you turn up my background music? Because that noise that's going on outside the window, it's driving me nuts. Hold on for a second, guys. 1 second. What is happening? Why is it so loud? What happened? Oh, you muted me. I was like, what happened? I'm sorry, guys. There was a lot of noise going on, and I'm nosy. I had to figure it out. So anywho, what happened was about a week ago, I did a live in my group, Yeshua's Lightworkers. I did a live in the group, and I was talking about how I had been contacted by this ghost, and how I was directed to go and read a certain chapter or a certain book or a certain verse in the Bible, and how this ghost and how like the spirits and how everything had been telling me certain things. And one of the things were like, you are stronger than you think you are, and another thing was that you're stronger than what you think you are. And another thing they had expressed to me is, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting a channel like at the same time. You're stronger than what you think you are, and you need to go within to find your answers. Okay. So I was talking about this in the group, and one of the members, she had said that she had been receiving the same message. So we began to compare notes with one another, and her story was so similar to mine. And right after she had shared that information with me, she was violently attacked outside of her home. And I knew that this had something to do with me. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like it had something to do with me. It seemed like the people around me who are spiritually gifted, the people around me were somehow being attacked. They were either being attacked in the streets, or they were being attacked by their family members, or they were being attacked in their dreams. And I was like, I knew like it was getting worse and worse and worse. I kind of was ignoring it, but it was getting worse and worse and worse, and I didn't want to take the blame for it. But I knew it had something to do with me. So I knew I needed to get a reading. I had been passing by this house for a long time. It was something about this house where they do psychic readings. It was something about this house that I was drawn to. So as the member of Yeshua Lightworkers, as she was telling her story, all I kept saying was, I need to get a reading. I need to get a reading. Spirit was telling me, you need to go and get a reading, and you need to get it done today. I was going during my lunch break, but I got diverted. My coworker wanted to go to lunch with me, got diverted. But right after work, I went straight to the home to get a reading. When I arrived at the home, it took them a long time to open the door. I was getting ready to leave. And there was a woman that had, answered the door, and there was something very familiar about this woman. It was something very familiar about her eyes, about her face, about her energy. It was something very, very familiar, and I couldn't put my hands on it. I couldn't figure it out. So she allowed me to come in, and she asked me, why, what was troubling me? Why was I there today? And I said, I'm here to get a reading. And immediately when she began to read me, or she was going to read me, she stopped and she said, have you had a reading before? And I told her, I said, yes, I have had a reading before. And she said, where did you get this reading? And I told her, I said, it was in Maryland. And she said, how many times have you had a reading? And I said, twice. This will be my third time getting a reading. I mean, a full out reading, And she says, where? And I tell her it was in Southern Maryland. And we kind of like go down this, she asks me a bunch of questions and I give her answers. And just to make a long story short, I discovered that the woman who read me, my second reading that was ever done, was done by her mother. So this is in a whole different part of town. I've never seen this woman before. And she goes on to tell me that her mother's energy, her mother's protection was over me. And she began to tell me that she loved me so much because her mother loved me. And she would do whatever possible to help me. And she says, she asked me, she says, you've been plagued by bad luck, correct? And I was like, yeah, but I didn't really pay any attention to it at the time, but I was kind of like, yeah. And she goes on to tell me, she says, I believe that you have been cursed. And I'm like, what? Like, who would curse me? Like, I'm a pretty good person. Like, who would do this to me? And she's like, I believe you've been cursed, and I believe that this curse comes from your grandmother. So I'm going to leave it right there because we have to go and pay some bills, but I'll finish the rest of the story when we come back. Thanks for tuning in.
I get free with you? I wanna be delivered. Can I get free with you? I wanna be delivered. Can I get free with you?
Hey guys, welcome back to Goddess of the Nile Radio, live right here on the free WinDC radio app and YouTube channel. I want to take the time to thank you guys for tuning in today. I know it's a Sunday and it's tough, but I also want to tell you guys, thank you for your feedback. Thank you for letting me know that you're experiencing issues with YouTube, and I know it's been going on for a while, and we will try our best to get it fixed here. I don't know what's going on with the connection and why it keeps sticking for you guys. I don't know if it's a station thing or if it's a you thing, but the best way to listen in to Goddess of the Nile Radio is to download the free WinDC radio app if the YouTube channel is not working for you. And there's also another option. You can head on over to Facebook and go to the WinDC Radio Facebook page, and you can catch it there. Or, you know, you can go and cut grass and play in the garden and just catch the replay, because usually the replay is a lot better, even though I would love to have your energy here with me live. So it's all to the good. Now, onward with my story. Onward about hexes and curses, right? Because that's the conversation for today. So where I left off at, I went to go see a psychic to get a reading. And when I went to go see the psychic had explained to me that there's a possibility that I could be cursed, and this curse can come from my grandmother. That was on a Friday. She wanted for me to return on a Sunday. She wasn't really sure. So I went home, and you know, I was very like discouraged. I felt like ugh, because for some reason, ever since I was a little girl, and I just always kind of hoped and wished and like that my family wasn't cursed, that I wasn't cursed. And for some reason, I don't know, it was a bit of an obsession for me. Curses and hexes and things like that. So when I went home that evening, I just kind of like prayed about it and was like, you know, God, please, you know, and I hoped, and I was like, please don't let this be something that I have. And then I began to think about all the times where I would have like really, really highs in my life and extreme lows. Like there's never a period of time where I'm just coasting through, you know? Like for other people have an amazing life, and they have this amazing life and they just keep it and they just coast through with their amazing life. But like for me, it's like I have these blessings, and as soon as I get the blessings, they don't last long. It's like they may stick around for a couple of months and they don't last long. And that has been my life for all of my life. It's never a moment. It's never a dull moment. It's always something. Always something. And, you know, I always thought that like it was because I didn't have a relationship with God, a strong relationship with God. I always thought that, you know, that this was life. You know, I always thought that I was the chosen one, like God chose me to suffer more than anyone else. But that wasn't the case at all. So I went home that night and I just kind of like went through my life and kind of like, you know, visually I meditated and I asked for things to come to the forefront. But that's as far as I took it. I just rested and prepared for, prepared for that Sunday show, which was about, unlocking the keys to your past lives or something like that, discovering who you were in your past life, and like giving you that information so some of you guys can have the power to go back and correct karmas, or have the power to use that information to manifest the life of your dreams today. So that was last week's show. You can feel free to check it out. It was a really good show. So Sunday I returned back to the woman, and as soon as I go in and we sit down and we talk for a little bit, she says, yes, I did some candle work, and I discovered that you are, in fact, there's a hex on you. There's a curse that's on you. And this curse came from your grandmother. And she says, it's a very expensive curse. Whoever put this curse on your family, they paid a lot of money for this particular curse. And she says, this curse is a energy blocker. So basically what the curse does is it blocks. So in the back, along my spine and along your spine too, we have chakras that's there. And this chakra, it's our strongest chakras. It's along our back. And what this chakra does is pretty much like circulates the energy. So like as we're walking towards something, we're receiving energy, and the energy travels through us, and it kind of it's like a filter system, and the body retains. It's supposed to retain the good energy that comes towards you, and then the negative energy shoots out through your back. Well, a part of this hex that was put upon myself and my family is our rear chakras are blocked. So the good energy comes in and it stays, and the negative energy comes in and it stays, and it doesn't go anywhere. It just stays. So that explains why I have these amazing blessings that come into my life, but it doesn't last long. The interesting thing about this hex is that it only affects the women in my family. So this particular hex can only be passed down from my grandmother to her daughters, and from her daughters to their daughters. It cannot be passed down from my grandmother to her sons, or from my aunts and my mother to her sons. So I am the only girl that comes from that bloodline. I am the only girl. I am the baby girl that comes from a female. So the curse ends with me. So when I check up out of here and I get my wings and I go off to live a beautiful life in another dimension, then the curse ends. It ends with me. Which is a beautiful thing, because I've always wanted a little girl. I've always wanted a little girl, but I only have sons. And I'm so glad that I have sons, because that means that this hex, this curse, is not passed down to them. So they can live on to have beautiful, prosperous lives, and they can have these amazing highs, and they can have this amazing life and actually live in the moment and live and manifest the life of their dreams without having anything block them. And my beautiful sons, my handsome sons, are so blessed. They are so very blessed. So the woman gave me the information, and she went off to tell me that, that she can do a cleansing for me. And I went home and I thought about it, and the first thing I did was I wanted to see this hex, because I knew that this hex was a woman. I knew it. I felt it. One of the clues that I received along the way was 4 years ago. A friend of mine, she's no longer a friend of mine, but a friend of mine, she was into spirituality. She was into going to see psychics. She did not have the strength to do it on her own, like the gifts that I have. So she depended on someone else to assist her along the way. So when she went, she was told that I had entered her home, and there was this woman, this demon woman that was following me. I didn't kind of take it seriously back then, but now it makes all the sense in the world. So later on that evening, when I laid down to go to sleep, I meditated. And when I meditated, I asked to see the demon that follows me. When I saw the demon that follows me, it was definitely a woman. It was a black shadow. That's pretty much all I can explain about how she looks. She looks a little bit like Lisa Simpson, all grown up, but like a dark shadow form of her. I saw her, and I was just really, really sad about the whole entire situation. The following day, when I woke up, I was really sad, and Spirit came to me. I prayed, and Spirit came to me, and Spirit said to me, you have to forgive the woman, and you have to forgive the demon. Because I was angry too. And I did. I found forgiveness in my heart. And earlier in the show, I talked about synchronicity. So before I even thought about going to see a psychic or anything, the week before that, my focus was on forgiveness. I was beginning to forgive everyone that was in my life that just, crapped all over me. I began to forgive those people. So for me to forgive this woman who put a hex on my family, I was able to forgive her in an instant. And I was able to forgive the demon too. It feels like I'm leaving out a very important part, which I have to talk about right now, just to go back. When I went to go see the psychic, she asked me, why am I no longer connecting to the Holy Spirit? She asked me, why am I no longer connecting to the Holy Spirit? Why am I no longer connecting? Why am I afraid of the Holy Spirit? Why have I stopped going to church? And I explained to her that church was used to control me. It was used to stifle me. It was used, not to uplift me. It was used by my ex as a way of him controlling me. And I saw things within the church kind of just turned me away from it. And she says, no, that was that particular isolated situation. You need to find yourself fellowship. You need fellowship. You need church. You need to be able to go into church and be able to feel the Holy Spirit. And I was kind of like confused by it, because I can feel the Holy Spirit at any time. But for me, I do need the energy, and I do need the love and the Holy Spirit. I do need that. I need the music. I need the dancing. I need the celebration of Christ, of Yeshua, of Jesus. I need that. I do need that. And she explained to me the reason why certain people were coming into my life and confusing me about Yeshua and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, why those people were drawn to me to lead me in another direction away from the Holy Spirit, because it's actually the Holy Spirit that can heal me. It's the Holy Spirit that can help me. It's the Holy Spirit that loves me. It's the Holy Spirit that gives me my gifts. She explained that to me. And I went home and I couldn't really understand, because I love Jesus. I love Yeshua, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went home and I looked on my altar. And on my altar in my bedroom, I'm celebrating Heru. I'm celebrating Oshun. I'm celebrating Ra. I'm celebrating my grandfather. But there's no signs of Yeshua. Nowhere on my altar. Nowhere. But there's an altar that I have in a second place. There's an altar that I have where I'm celebrating Yeshua there. Okay? So what I did was I just pretty much meditated. And I asked for Yeshua. I asked for Jesus to help me. I cried out to Jesus to help me. I didn't want this hex to be on me any longer. I went through all the pain and the suffering and I went through all of it in my mind. I just traveled throughout my life, and I actually saw the moments where I was so close to manifesting the life of my dream, and how this demon has blocked that for me. I no longer wanted to live that life anymore, and I cried out to the Holy Spirit to help me, to guide me. I cried out to my ancestors to help me and to guide me. And before you guys get all worked up and whether or not Jesus is real and all of that stuff, I want to let you guys know and understand that if it wasn't for spirituality, I would have never known that this hex was on me. If it wasn't for spirituality, I would have never been able to connect to my ancestors and get the information to get this hoe up off of me. I need for you guys to understand that, because I didn't put myself in a box. Because I didn't put myself in a box and throw out the baby with the damn bath water, I was able to get this hoe, to get this demon up off of me. It's so important that you guys understand that. You have to stop putting people in a box. You have to stop saying because a certain person believes in a certain entity or a certain type of energy that they have to cut themselves off from tarot, that they have to cut themselves off from psychics. It's those people that are able to release you sometimes and set you free when the preacher can't. I need for you to understand that. So I'm going to let all of that swirl around in your lovely heads, and I'll be right back to talk about how I was able to use the Lion's Gate, how I was able to use spirituality to connect to my ancestors, to connect to the Holy Spirit, and how I was able to get this curse, this hex off my back. It's your girl, Azor Neteru Gaia, and I'm live right here on the WinDC Radio app. This is Goddess of the Nile Radio Show, and we'll be right back. Peace.
He has more thorns than a rose garden, but his tulips were made for mine. To the world, he's a dandelion. Every flower just needs some light. I told him to watch and see. In the right room with the right love, all flowers bloom. And then he said to me, would you want to me? When the sun goes to sleep, stay toward to me. So beneath my feet, dry upon my knees. Where you are to me, where you are to me, where you are to me, what to me, what to me. When the world goes to sleep, not wake when
Greetings to all of you in the language of love, the universal language. Beauty is the splendor of truth. Use your hearts for what your hearts are for. Fill them with light. Do not fill them with darkness. The light of the human heart, when it's given faith, if it were opened up, it would blind the world. May this message give us eyes with which to see, ears with which to hear, and hearts with which to love each other and to love the world and to do good.
You're not using your heart for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. I thank God for healing. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. I thank God for building. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. I thank God I'm living. Sometimes I feel like a stranger. Maybe I ain't from here. World going crazy. Could that be unclear? Know that I'm a soldier. Hearts on my battleground, sword in the holster. Had to come back around. I ain't trying to hide away. I just had to meditate. I ain't got a lot to say. What the ancestors made, speaking to the whole globe. Numbers don't occur to me. You can listen solo, cause you're the whole world to me. I jump in with both feet, nothing low key. You can find me where I'm supposed to be, where my folks be. If you listen very closely, you know who chose me. Nothing that I own owns me, and so I'm so free. I remember being hungry, needing groceries, nighttime getting no sleep till my nose bleed. Got a message to the police. You're not using your heart for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. I thank God for healing. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. I thank God for building. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. I'm living, not for 1 second. I believe what you're telling me. I know you invent the disease and sell the remedy. Universe is sending me centuries of memories. So the very breath that I breathe is all I ever need. I got that Muhammad Ali up in my pedigree. Yes, I be speaking my peace up in my 70s. Ain't worried about you threatening me. I'm just being honest. I ain't buying fear just because it's all you got left. We just wanna make love till we wake up. I believe whoever made us envisioned greatness, and you know they wanna paint us with the same brush, wanna entertain us till we fill our grave up. Alright, okay, but when it's all said and it's all done, and I look back at the trophies I won, I will only count one. I'm using my heart for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. I thank God for healing. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. I thank God for building. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. I thank God I'm living, and I know who I am. I know whose I am. On your wings I fly, in your shoes I stand. I'm animated by love, I don't move by chance. Any stage I touch, any place I stand, there y'all land. Living in the world as it is, craft vessel I am. No more and no less than a man. Any possessions that I have are just in my hand. I balance them the best that I can. I'm not making no claims, but I'm using my heart for what hearts are for. All the beauty in this whole life. I thank God for healing, and you ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. I thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. I thank God for building. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. I thank God I'm living, just reflecting all the beauty in this whole life.
Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome back to Goddess of the Nile Radio, live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. I'm your hostess for today, Azor Netarugaya, and we are talking about hexes and curses. I am sharing with you today a very personal story, my own story of having a generational hex or a curse, depending on what you want to call it, placed upon my family. Now, I left off at connecting to my ancestors and connecting to my spiritual guides, connecting to my loved ones and all of that good stuff, connecting to spirituality, using spirituality in order to, you know, figure all of this out. Figure all of this out. It's very hard to talk to you guys without having background music. What's going on with background music, Tiz? I can't hear it anymore. There it is. Can you turn it up a little bit more? A little bit more. There we go. Thank you. I'm a little bit of a diva. Thanks for working with me. Why is background music so important? Well, it's very important when you're sitting in this chair by yourself and you're speaking over a microphone. You need your background music. It's like your support system, right? And I'm also musically inclined, man. I'm telling you, I'm musically inclined, and music soothes me. It guides me. I get all into the vibrations. I'm a water sign, so I like to talk to the flow of the music. Okay, so let's get back into it. I share with you guys the importance of connecting with spirituality, because that was the roadmap that I used in order to find out what has been haunting me all of this life, during this lifetime. It all began with not drinking. It all began with doing release baths. It all began with doing spiritual baths and just going off to the races for me. Being able to connect, not being afraid of spirituality. So because I had already been meditating so heavily, because I had already been connecting to my ancestors, giving them honor, celebrating them, celebrating their death dates, celebrating their earth arrival dates, just talking to them, loving up on them, putting photos on my altar, putting things that they enjoy on my altar, like pink roses, mints, you know, music, playing music for them, just letting them know that I appreciate them. I appreciate them for being in my life. I appreciate them for giving my mother and my father life so I can be able to have life, you know, just honoring my ancestors, you know. So I did some meditation the Monday after I found out that this hex was on me. And I shouted out to the Holy Spirit. I shouted out to Yeshua, and I just asked and I prayed that they just show me the way, show me how to get this thing up off me. They guided me to this international market, this international grocery store, and I had been there before. And the first time I was there, maybe in, you know, last fall, it was almost a year ago. The first time that I was there, I was guided to their herbal section, and I didn't really, you know, I was like, oh, cool, I can come here and get my herbs. Like, not even thinking too much of it. And I was drawn to this one particular herb that looked like a clear quartz crystal. And I just bought it because it looked like a clear quartz crystal to me. And I looked it up and it was like, give this to anyone who has a generational curse on them. And I was like, what? Oh man, this is interesting. And I just held on to it. I didn't really understand why. I just held on to it. And well, what ended up happening was that was like a piece of the puzzle, because during this meditation that I had, I was guided to, almost in a trance, I was guided to this international market, to the herb section, and I was just picking up all these different types of herbs, all just like, pick up this, pick up, you need some sage, you need some rosemary, you need something called the holy leaf. I picked up the holy leaf. I picked up lavender. I picked up all these different spices, all these different herbs. I picked up all of it. The total cost of everything was like $24. The total complete cost. And Spirit had said to me I needed to take a releasing bath in these herbs. So I said, okay. So I went to take the releasing bath in the herbs. I had binaural music. If you're into releasing baths, you can go to Gods of the Nile radio show on YouTube. There's a releasing bath guided meditation there for you, and I use this guided meditation for this releasing of this hex and this curse that's on me. So it was during my releasing bath, I go into a meditation. I did some mirror work and I went into a meditation. And it was during the meditation where I was able to see where the hex came from, because I had to see where the hex came from in order for me to get rid of it. It was in that very moment that I saw a woman. I couldn't really see her face. She had on I believe it's called a cloak, but she had on like kind of like a Little Red Riding Hood. She had on like a dark, maybe it was a deep purple or plum, like hood, and she was walking with a lantern, and it was gravel, so there wasn't any streets, you know, and she walked, it was nighttime, of course, because she had a lantern, and she was walking to this house, and I couldn't see the woman, but I knew that the woman was African. And I can see a little bit of the conversation. I can begin to hear a little bit of the conversation, because one of my gifts, you guys, is I can vision things. I can see things. I can actually astral travel and go back and forth between timelines, which is something that I learned how to do along the way. If I was afraid of spirituality, if I was afraid of my gifts, I would have never even knew how to use that ability, how to tap into that ability through meditation, through my sleep. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't tap into spirituality. So in the conversation, I can see that the woman who was actually doing like the hex, who was actually doing like the spell work, I can see that she really didn't want to do it. The woman who went to her was very hurt. She was very hurt. She was broken. I can actually feel her pain. It was in that very vision that I began to forgive the woman, because she was in so much pain. One of my family members had caused her tremendous pain. And the woman, the actual, like, I'll call her a witch just because, the woman, she warned her about this hex and was like, this is a powerful hex, and are you sure you want to do this? You know, so basically the hex could have been worse. It could have been way worse than what it currently is. So basically, it's an energy blocker. It's an energy blocker curse that was placed upon the women in our family. And the energy blocker was placed on my grandmother. It was placed on my grandmother. And my grandmother at the time, she was in the womb of her mother when this curse was placed upon her. And I believe, I'm not really sure, but I strongly believe this is the reason why we have the women in our family have wound issues, is because at the time that this curse was placed on my grandmother, it was placed while she was inside of the womb of her mother. Okay? So the curse was passed down from my grandmother to her children, to her daughters. I saw all of this in my vision. And once I saw the vision and I saw where the curse had came from, I instantly asked for the universe, for source, for God to forgive them. And I forgave them. And I asked that they be healed and that woman be healed. What was also shown to me was that my great grandmother, she was friends with this woman. She was very close with this woman. Another crumb that I found along the way was I was very intrigued by the Moors. I was very intrigued by the indigenous people and the truth behind whether or not I was African or whether or not I was indigenous, because I am comfortable with indigenous culture. I'm comfortable with Central America culture. And I believe that's where our family come from. I believe that I am not African. That's what I believe. Haven't taken a blood test, don't need to take one. I'm not African. My family were Moors, we're mulatto. That's what we are, you know? And she was friends with this woman. I believe that maybe my great-grandmother, I feel like it has something to do with like being a seamstress or something like that, but it's something about fashion. I don't know if she was a seamstress. I don't know if my great-grandmother maybe was like